Okay, let's get this thing back on the road. So I have a delicious lunch of tomato soup. See if I'm actually streaming before I get too excited talking to myself here. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Somewhere over here, the internet can totally see you now. Now my screen health, it says, is not as good as it was before, but that's probably because my internet connection is being shared with many, many, many devices, all of whom are streaming at the moment. All right. Well, we're back. And streaming again. Question mark, question mark, exclamation mark. Talking to myself. Excuse me. And my computer is being a bit funny. No one's watching. But obviously being recorded, so this is the embarrassing bit where only people who are late will get to see this bit, and I'm otherwise just talking to myself. It's amazing how much of a difference it makes when I actually see that there are people watching. It makes me feel at least a little bit like I'm talking. Oh, you did? Hi, Luna. Good, you're the only one. Oh no, we've got a few people now. Okay, that's great. I'm always surprised. I never know quite when the notification goes out over YouTube as to whether or not I'm live streaming or not. I think it's once the stream has become viable as opposed to once I've clicked the button here. I don't know. But the story so far, I have been working on removing all of the cruft around using Docker as the sort of isolation system and deployment system for Compiler Explorer. The reason I'm doing this is because I then want to be able to run Firejail, which is a separate, much stricter sandbox on individual compilers and on user code once we actually support executing code. Oh, hey again, Luca. And we were mostly there. We've been sort of hacking around, building new images, deploying them, seeing that they didn't work quite the way we wanted to, hacking them in place, then porting back the changes to the build system and so on and so forth, back and forth. And we've just got to the stage now where I had pushed everything, and I've now rebuilt a new, shiny new Amazon machine image, AMI, let's get my teeth in. And I was about to test that. The other thing that I noticed is while we were away, if there was a problem with the current directory not being set correctly. I think I know why that is, and I have a fix for it. So that's good news. I looked through the source code of Firejail, and Firejail tries to keep the same current directory in the jailed environment as it was originally executed with, which makes a lot of sense. However, if for whatever reason that directory is not available in the jail, it defaults to going back to the home directory, which is what I'm currently relying on. So when I was running locally, I was testing in /home/Matthew/blah blah 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 blah, wherever I have my Git repo checked out. And when I use --private to say, please give me a new shiny empty home directory in the jail, obviously my home Matthew dev compiler explorer doesn't exist anymore in the jail because the jail has a completely empty home. And so it would default to just CDing to the root. And that's what I was seeing when I'm running locally. When I was running remotely, I am running in the root directory in this /compiler explorer image, which is a pretty naff place to put it, but it's where it lives. And I'm not about to, change all of that now. And of course, when I run a jail on this machine, that directory is totally available. So the fact that my current working directory is /compiler explorer image .deploy foo-bar-baz, that means that, well, we keep that directory. So my solution was to mark /compiler explorer image as blacklisted, so it's not going to be available to the jail. I don't want it to be available to the jail anyway. We might as well isolate that as well, even though it's mostly open source software in there. I don't think there's anything in here that's dodgy. No, and I mean in the .deploy, it's just the deployed there. I mean, there's some funny temporary files that have been written in there that we should really wish to get rid of. So anyway, that's where we are now. So I have just completed this AMI, and I'm going to go for gold. So I'm going to open up the image here, and I'm going to look for launch config.tf, and I'm going to make the beta image actually that. So I'm now telling Compiler Explorer that the beta will be this particular AMI that I've just built. And it looks like it all worked. Everything, no errors in here. Cool. It's exciting, right? Now I'm going to go into, what do I need to do? I need to terraform, git status. The only thing we have is that change. And I'm going to run terraform plan to planny. Because, minus out. And in the meantime, I'm still running. If we open up my instances, we can see that I'm still running Testy McTest is one that's using a slightly older version of the image that I was doing all my dynamic testing with. So that's this server over here. So let's actually just change that. Sudo hostname testy. Because I'm in the yes, I was testing. Sudo hostname testy. Fine, sure. I'm just trying to make it so that I don't accidentally mix up those machines later on. So now we're going to apply that Terraform, which is going to do absolutely nothing other than change something. There, we changed some settings, and we don't currently have the beta environment running. So what I'm going to do here is, having just checked in all of the Compiler Explorer changes as well, let me just make sure that it is indeed true. No, I need to check in this change. Brilliant. So in Compiler Explorer image, oh no, it's Compiler Explorer itself, we now have standard.inc git diff cached. Yes, that is my blacklist of the /Compiler Explorer image, which should mean that the current working directory in the jail is invalid, which means it should cd to the root, cd to the home directory, and everything should work the way I want it to. Ha! It's a bit roundabout. Anytime you need a 3-line comment to explain something that looks relatively innocuous is probably a smell, but this will do for now. So we're going to do git commit -a m, and this is blacklist the Compiler Explorer image. And I'm going to do -n on this because I don't need to run the tests, and I'm going to do a git push. So now, as a result of that git push, provided no one else has checked anything else, we've got one low vulnerability to worry about. Now, as a result of that, the thing is Travis. See, I had to use muscle memory. I can't remember what it's called. I just had to know that it's those keys that I'm going to press, and then it auto-completed. Travis is going to be building that in a second, and we'll then tell beta that that's the version it should be running. And then I'm going to start the beta environment, and it's just going to work. Maybe. We'll see. How are we getting on? Okay, there goes Travis. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes before that finishes. I think I'm going to start up the beta environment anyway. So let's do ce-env beta environment. Can't remember status. Let's make sure yes, there is an auto-scaling group called Spot Beta with the number of desired instances of 0. So that is obviously not what we want. We're going to start. This is the new command I added the other day. So now we want to have one in this automatic scaling group. And as a result of that, if we refresh in here, soon enough, we say, we have pending c5.large. Hurrah! Which is actually bigger and better than the testy McTest. I want to know what the difference between T3 and T3A.medium is. T3A medium versus T3 medium. Okay, while that goes, come on, Travis. And instances. Okay, Amazon's loaded. Getting started. T3, T3A. Oh! We were talking about this earlier. Somebody was saying that maybe the reason the Intel compiler didn't work is because it was running on an AMD processor. And of course, the T3A really was running on an AMD processor. How funny. How funny is that? Let's do LS CPU and see what we get. There it is, an AMD EPYC 7571. Ha! Well, you live and learn. That is very interesting. 10% cheaper than T3 instances. It might be worth doing, but I think it would surprise a lot of people if... yeah, you did, Luca. That's right. I did wonder. I'm sorry. Yeah, if we moved over to this, I'm sure enough people rely on march equals native that would confuse the heck out of them. You really shouldn't rely on march equals native because I have all sorts of different machines that are running in the fleet. So if you want to like get the architecture for a particular CPU, I would pick Ivy Bridge or Sandy Bridge or Haswell. Something you can remember. Haswell is dreadful. I mean, all the names are terrible, right? Intel's naming convention is awful. What have we got coming? We've got Coffee Lake. We've got Ice Lake. I've lost track of it, I'll be honest with you. And I've only been really out of caring for just over a year. And I'm already completely bewildered and lost. So like here, for example, I think this is the result of Luca and my... I could display a message. That's a clever idea. Ha ha ha. I mean, obviously there's some concerns about going down the route of putting these things... out there, like, you know, as soon as I start parsing the command lines more than that, I'm gonna have to. No, I think it makes sense. I'm just making up excuses not to do it. If you're feeling like you want to add a feature, Luca, I mean, I would love to see something like that. It would be relatively straightforward, I think, but I will capture that right now as an issue if I can actually get to Compiler Explorer issues. And again, this is all really just filling while we're waiting for Travis to finish. Let's put Travis over here so we can keep track of him. I think it's a him. Don't you? Oh, sugar, I pressed the wrong button. Like, the wee icons looks, for me, like a mustache man. But, I mean, that does not necessarily mean that is true. So let's stick to Travis is a website. It's much easier. Anyway, what was I doing? New issue. Yeah. Oh, I'm confusing myself now. Title, display a warning if we see... march equals native, and we should probably say something like isn't that funny, like, so L Hayhurst is my old boss whom I've worked with at the last two companies, and I'm hoping to work with him at the new company that I'm starting at next June, and that's number 8. I really should get around to doing that at some time. I'm sure he'd like it. So anyway, we want to say march equals native may give some misleading results as it depends which arch we're currently running on. Maybe a pop-up. So we already have pop-up warnings for some other things that occur. So there's definitely, like, it should just be a question of making a little configuration, which is like, here's a regular expression maybe of things that we should make a warning about, and then having a mapping of, like, if the command line looks like this when we do a build, then maybe pop up an extra warning that looks like that. Something like that. I don't know. The trick with this really is it becomes a UI problem more than it becomes a coding problem. So I'm going to submit that. It's going to have enhancement, specifically related to compilers, help wanted, and I'm going to say good first issue. Look how many of these things we have. And I guess that's Lang. It's not really Lang C++ specific. We'll do that. Submit new issue. And I'd be delighted to help you with any questions you have, Luca, if you're interested in picking it up. But obviously, don't feel you have to. I mean, this is all volunteer stuff. Yes, absolutely, Luna. There are just a million weird things, you know, like // something in here. I mean, a lot of this security work comes out of the fact that this started out with people going, haha, I can get your password file with this. And then I used to actually compile, what's the word? Say like, oh, you can read my password file. Oh, no. Of course you can read my password. You can read any password. I don't care. There's nothing in there that you should care about. But we used to try and parse this stuff out and deny the files. I mean, as well as have some other hooks to prevent anything particularly nasty going on. But we're replacing all of that with the Firejail stuff, which looks like it's built. So we now have image 4074 ready for prime time. So we're going to do c-env beta builds set current. And I've already forgotten the number because I am that forgetful. Build 4074. 4074. Okay, so this is in beta, and that's a master, and we're golden. Oh, 60 or 68,000. Yes, sorry about that. There are definitely some very old bugs in there. Yeah, proc CPU info. Yeah, it does. So that's an interesting one. I mean, obviously, proc CPU info is useful, but of course, this is actually I need to whitelist that. It's one of the few things I actually had to whitelist because compilers open that file to actually support and implement things like march equals native. So I used to blacklist that file. And things stopped working. Actually, this is an interesting one. When we do this jailing, I'm wondering if CPU info will be available. I don't know if I've actually prevented proc from working. Yeah, 68,000 support. I'm sorry. You've seen how many compilers we've got. I mean, how many compilers have we got? Curl godbolt.org API, not languages, compilers. So 435 compilers are the current number. Well, 434 because the first line of that is the output. Oh no, there is no header. Yes, there is a header. There it is. So there's quite a lot of them. So adding new ones is a maintenance nightmare, and so I do drag my heels a little bit on the 68,000. You're still all right? Okay, yeah. Haha! I forget you've already done this, so you know. I'm sorry. Again, so many people are involved in my project that I'm terrible with names at the best of times. So I apologise for not recognising who you were. But yeah, if you can hassle me again some other time, maybe over email, and just say, hey, if you just do this, this, and this, it will just work, then we'll be that much closer. Okay, Travis is done. I'm shouting for no good reason, other than, I don't know what, but anyway, 4074. So that doesn't actually deploy a new image. It just sets the image to be the one, if a new instance started up, it would get. So let's have a look. What do we got here? Beta. And I can do it from here now because it's actually a real one. So we're going to do c-env beta instances login. So whereas before the testy McTest machine is off the reservation, it wasn't like tracked. I just made this manually in the UI. Using the command line tools, they're tagged and known about. They're added to the right thing so that I can actually log into them using the command line stuff. So yeah, Docker. Yeah, yes, please do GGN. That would be appreciated. So if there's a Docker file. And then if it's the configuration to run the 68,000 compilers as well, that's probably the only thing I need. And the Docker file here is a Docker file to build the 68,000 compilers. This is the worst way of providing support. I'm sorry. Oh dear. What do we have in here? So, okay, it's working. All we're getting is the output here, of course, is going, and this is the fix the logging that I have that big fat to do, configure logging. So it actually started up and worked. I am beyond surprised. But let's restart it, which is the same thing that would happen if I used the CE tool to restart. I'm pleased, if not a little surprised. So we'll let this restart to pick up that last change. So we had pretty much everything working before, and now this last change should bring everything into the foyer. Yes, thank you, GGN. I appreciate it. Yeah, if it spins about and builds the compilers, that's great. That's all I need to do. It's just that obviously I don't run the compilers in Docker, and I know that people have sent me Docker containers before now, say, hey, just run this compiler. I'm like, I don't want to do it that way. But I think we're on the same page. So everything's outputting to the wrong place, but it's outputting nonetheless. So Firejail -- list. It's running compilers and they're in the jail, and the jail list is getting... Let's watch that. Watch Firejail -- list. Oh, well, that's... It seems to be working. It's only working, everybody. So this is me listing every 2 seconds the current jailed environments that are around. The zombie thing worries me a little bit, but I think that's probably a race condition between the process shutting down and us noticing that. Yeah, it's a lot of compilers. In fairness, there's a bit of double counting going on. The C compilers are pretty much the same as the C++ compilers. So there's a little bit of double counting, but not all the C++ compilers are listed as C compilers, and so yeah, it's not as straightforward. But it's still a lot of compilers. It's a fair number. Okay. So what we're waiting for over in here. Oh, I should go over here, shouldn't I? Is what? I want to get rid of this and just go to all. I want all compilations. I don't want to search. I want to kill the search. I want all systems. There it is. It's still references to GCC Explorer. Yes, look at it's people hacking around with weird /z/ things going on there, or else. I know it looks like Unicode, doesn't it? %25C2. Getting distracted. Okay, well, I saw error. I'm triggered by an error. There it is. Error. Failed to expand that. Okay, that's another thing. So people are trying to expand Google URLs that have all sorts of junk on the end of them, but that's not important right now. What's the worst someone can do? Yes. So Vegard asked a very interesting question. What's the worst someone can do with an arbitrary code execution in a Firejail? Well, if they can break out of Firejail, then yes, a kernel exploit gives you a shell on the AWS machines. Obviously, once they're there, what they have access to is they can potentially look at what other code is being submitted to Compiler Explorer. So that's bad. That's probably the worst thing. So if from worst to least bad, they can install a kind of rootkit type thing. Oh, hang on, let's go there. Oh, we are actually getting output, aren't we here? Isn't that funny? But that's only for the wrong reason. The output's going in here because it's going through syslog, and then syslog's getting out to paper trail. So yeah, the worst case is that you can install something horrible and grab data off of the machine. So that would be bad. And yeah, so side channel exploits, I mean, within reason, they're probably okay-ish. There's always new side channel attacks coming. I don't know how practicable some of these are for doing the kind of things, but it is a risk. It's a risk, and I'm just accepting that as like, well, everyone's going to have the same problem here. So yeah, running a Bitcoin miner would be something, although Bitcoin is the worst choice right now for that kind of thing. So yes, so the worst thing that could happen is that someone can start stealing other people's submitted code or breaking like the privacy restrictions that I otherwise maintain. You know, we don't keep the data, we don't keep anyone's IP addresses other than very briefly inside the logs that get cleaned and then thrown away. So that's the most serious thing, is losing trust. Second thing would be denial of service attacks. So by taking stuff down or by giving people wrong answers or anything like that, that would be terrible too. Then, yes, they could steal executable space and run a Bitcoin miner. That kind of stuff would probably cause the site to become unresponsive enough for me to notice, and then I would probably whack it. Then, if the instances themselves have privileges, right? Just the fact that this is running on a particular node has privileges associated with it. So if there is a privilege escalation in that, or if I hadn't locked those privileges of the machine itself down, then someone could fire up more nodes and then run Bitcoin miners or stuff like that. So that's another. That's probably worse again, but that's just my finances that get ruined. And I can handle that, and Amazon are pretty good at telling you about this and noticing that weird things are going on. So I'm not too concerned about that. So the clean compiler didn't seem to want to work there, which is weird. All right, I don't know anything about clean, but we'll have to come back to it. So, godbolt.org. I think that covers everything, Vegard. Maybe some other threat models I haven't thought of, but my good friend who's a security researcher said like the best source of preventing either attacks or being ready for when attacks happen is to just not have anything worth stealing. So that is mostly where we are here. Oh yeah, someone could exfiltrate some of the IP sensitive things like the compiler license files, but I've already given people enough enough warning so that Intel know that I'm doing the very best I can to prevent that from happening. But I'm not perfect. But interestingly, great, including... Well, first of all, beta is working by the looks of it. Let me just refresh this. That's so cool. It's working. The beta site is back up, as you may notice if you hit it yourself. In fact, you could have a laugh. I can open this up here, and if you want a... Oh, we're not getting any output here. Why is that not appearing in there? Oh, thank you, Vegard. I'm glad. Yes, I have the cup right here. It's the one that comes out the best, I think. The t-shirts don't work out so well. I probably need to find a better vendor for t-shirts when I send them out to my Patreons. But no, you're very welcome. I'm glad my funny site is useful to you. Okay, well, we can close that off. No assembly generated. Oh, because we've got an empty thing here, right? In Mooser, whatever, return 3. Beautiful. Why am I not seeing that over here? We're seeing all of these things. Compiler, blah, non-result, 0 result 1. I mean, I know we shouldn't be seeing output there anyway, because I need to. That's the remaining thing is the log. I wanted to see that, but I really wanted to make sure that I am actually running the code that I think that I am running. You know, when it works first time, one worries. So if I were to refresh this a few times, I can see it. Look in my Firejail list. Occasionally it appears, and we're seeing it getting compiled. That's blinding. I'm honestly so happy. So include. Let's include something we know otherwise would be like etc group, for example. Cannot open source file, etc group. Now go onto the actual machine itself. Hello, ls etc. See, it is there, but you can't see it in my jail. Haha. Yeah, if it was, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Luca, you're absolutely right. So my blog has, and this is, I'm sorry, absolutely shameless self-promotion. I can't even remember where my blog lives now. I've got a couple of things. Yeah, like this is one here. Like the first law, it's a bit wanky, but anyway, 2005, golly. If your code goes more than twice as fast that when you do an optimization, you've just broken it. And the second law is if it compiles links and appears to work first time, it's clearly flawed in a very subtle and hard to find way. So yeah, it may be proc self-exe worked, you say? Proc self-exe. That's not too surprising to me. I mean, it's gonna ultimately fail, and I mean, I think we can get, there's a whole bunch of nasty things inside proc that we can get, like FD1 or FD2 or something. Is it in proc? Where do the FDs live? No, it's dev, haha, dev, FD. Now, I don't know if I can get hold of these. Let's have a look. And obviously, this is now ripe for configuration. That's where we're in. Cannot open source file. Okay, so we can't see the dev directory, which is good. But the proc is obviously full of things that are potentially surprising and nasty. So, Vegard, if you have any suggestions for things that would be problematic, then that would be great. My plan really is, once I've got this broadly working, is to post on a security mailing list that I'm on and say, hey, first one to get a kind of exploit gets a t-shirt. So that's the thought on that. Let me close up some of the stuff that's going on over there. But that's awesome. Oh, so pleased. Clearly that's not working, but we know that wasn't going to be working. And we haven't enabled execution here because I'm not daft, but we could now actually enable execution on the beta site. What do you think? Should we do that? Arbitrary code execution? It's sort of tempting, isn't it? But there's just a lot of things to worry about. So, for example, we saw that clean here, we saw a bunch of compilers that apparently didn't work, although that looks about right to me. So I'm going to have to come up with a way of developing some amount of confidence that the compilers are working. Hey, I know what we can do. Let's get the list of compilers and put them to temp live, and then get the list of beta compilers and put them in temp beta. So this is me querying these two locally. Temp live, temp beta. Let's see what we're missing. Files are identical. That seems highly suspicious to me. Again, yes, /sys is a good thing, but right now I'm just too shocked that these are actually identical. I blame caching. That's usually the thing that comes along and makes this all just work. Yeah. Wouldn't it be better if I had some metadata in here that said, "Hey, I'm the beta site" or whatever? Yeah. No. I'm definitely not that. I'm definitely not that. So pleasing, but definitely one to come back to and think about. All right. I've actually got my list of things here. So we've got config logging, we've got SSM agent removal, which is just some other boring thing. GCC 127, we filed a bug, so I'm going to cross it off my list, although it's still to do. ICC file not found, we fixed that by upgrading Firejail to be the right version. Didn't we? So let's find our logged in version. Hang on, which node am I on? That's the 74 node. 5174, yeah, okay. And Firejail -- version is 0958.2, so that all worked. That worked first time as well. Again, suspicious. A lot of things just worked that time, so I might just have to accept that that happened once, and maybe it'll never happen again. Okay, so this is Testy. I think we can say goodbye to Testy McTest now. I think Testy has shown their resolve and their help here, and so I think goodbye Testy. Yes, terminate. And I didn't check the yes, terminate. No, really terminate. Let's go and have a look at AMIs, because if you remember, we've created a bunch of these things. There will be 2 of these that we created today. I'll make that larger. So there are 2 today, and we know that one of them we're currently using, and that would be living in the compiler explorer. So we're using the C3 image in here, C3, that one. But the other one we created today we can get rid of. Is that deregister? I think that's the magical thing. Yes, I do wish to deregister that. So I'm kind of worried why I've got so many AMIs going on in there. Because these all have snapshots and things associated with them. I need to do some tidying out. It doesn't cost very much, but it's just every month I'm paying for a small amount of storage somewhere. At the very least, getting rid of that will help sort out some things. Yeah. All right. We used that. That's Compiler Explorer. That's the localhost version that we were running with the thingamajig. I don't even know what clean is. Does anyone know what clean is? Isn't it funny? Oh no, an option 02. Okay, we're out. I'm out. I don't understand it. Zig. Oh, that's interesting. Zig doesn't seem to have a set default compiler there. Let's go to, or else. Hang on. Let's just reset the UI. Reset code and UI. Hello there, Greece. I imagine it's a lot nicer than. Well, actually, it's pretty nice here in Chicago right now. Yeah, we don't have a default Zig compiler set by the looks of it. So we might as well fix that while we're here. Zig, Amazon properties, default compiler Z040. Z040 is there, but it's not in the list of compilers. This is my terrible, dreadful configuration format. So we can add this for free. There you go. Fixing a bug. Git add.git commit -m add Zig 040 as default to the list. But actually, before we do that, git diff -- cached other swear words that aren't really swear words. Let's just make sure this actually exists on the server before I go and make it the default. That's happened before. It does. Good. All right. I was on the right track, but I obviously many times had this problem before. So this is. I'll put that somewhere. There we go, to the list. Don't run the test for that because it really can't fail. There's only a configuration file that isn't tested. Move every zig for great distance. Yeah, don't be. I don't know. What else we got? Swift. Sure, Swift's a programming language apparently. I presume it's quick. I don't know. Rust. Rust I know more about. Yeah, everything's just looking so healthy that I'm disappointed, you know? So now the thing to fix is all of the dreadful output here. Here, excuse me. I mean, secondly, I don't know why we're not getting more output from this once it started listening, but obviously that's not going to be a good thing to have. So let us have a think. Actual code is going to be written. How beautiful. You've got, yeah, right. You can go away. You can go away. There's definitely some to-dos in the actual execution of the sandbox environment, which I haven't turned on yet. But, oh gosh, I'm so pleased. Let's have a look at the time. 2:30. I've got about an hour. As regular viewers will know, the children come home from school about 3:30 my time. And my wife is out, which means that I'm in charge of everything when they get home. They run themselves, though. They're 9 and 10, so they're pretty much their own persons. Confusing myself. Right. I was going to be looking at the logging. So let's have a look at logging. So this logger, if I recall, comes from require liblogger. And that's this Winston. Here we go. So this is transports console colorize true. And what I want to do is work out if there is one that already can talk to, optionally, the thingamajigs. Oh, hi, Ro. So yes, that's actually what we're working on here. So Ro's question was, he has a question. I don't know if it's possible, but on Jason's video, sometimes he shows the output from the compiler. So that is something which is supported if you're running your own local copy of Compiler Explorer, because in general, running anyone's arbitrary code is a huge security hole and, you know, could be used to do all sorts of nefarious things on my servers. So Jason runs a local instance of Compiler Explorer, and then he has that feature available to him. What we're actually working on now, and in a very, very long, drawn-out and protracted way, is securing the environment that Compiler Explorer runs in so that I can enable that feature on my website. So you will soon, in the next week or two, as the way things are going, you'll be able to run things the way that Jason does currently, but on the main Compiler Explorer website. And then as time ticks on, we'll be able to make it more effective and efficient. I would like to make it a separate a panel that you can add in that's like just execute. I don't want to see the disassembly, just execute the code. And then it'll be a little bit more like Wandbox or the other online compiler sites that let you run their code, run your code. So that's the thought anyway. Excuse me. That is the thought. And the hope. So that will come soon. There are some other things I need to do this break. So I have another 2 weeks before I start a job, 2.5 weeks. And in that time, I've got some other things I've promised to do for people. So we need to get into that. Right. Enough talking, and let's think about how we're going to get output. So we've got logly, file, HTTP, memory, webhook. What is logly? Because transport, transport, I suspect. File, console. Ideally, you see, we want to have a web transport. So we're going to search for Winston, not Churchill, logger, and then we want to log to. What do we want to log to? It's whatever Paper Trail has, which is, I think, just the normal Unix output. which is log D? No, syslog D. There you are. Gosh, I'll get there. Syslog D. Winston syslog. A syslog transport for Winston. That's what I wanted to see. So okay, Winston syslog.syslog. Winston.transports.syslog. Host port. All of this is beautiful. Wonderful. So that looks like it's going to do what I need it to do. Now I have to think about how I'm going to configure it, because the thing about logging is it's configured before like almost anything in the app. Syslog. Maybe I just need to grab that. What was the code? I don't know if I'm already picking this up. You see, I think I'm just grabbing system Winston transports.syslog. Doesn't look like I've got it here, does it? Oh. Syslog config set levels. Maybe I haven't got the right version. Excuse me. I'm also surprised at why in var log syslog all of these things have come through, but I haven't seen them come through in Papertrail. Wherever Papertrail has gotten to. No, not there. I'm getting lost in Windows. Here. So this, the last thing we see is down here, and this is on live. Go. It's just super surprising. That we're seeing all these gathering, this, that, and the other. Why would it have given up at that point? Unless this filter here is not actually working. Excuse me. So I'm going to do something silly. Beta / moose pig, which obviously creates an error, which we should be able to see in here. Beta moose pig. And then I should be able to search in here for moose pig. So there it is. It is coming through. I don't know why that wasn't being seen. Being seen? Words to that effect. Okay, we are seeing all of the things. So they're all horribly being logged at the moment through the stood out of the process, which obviously we do not wish to happen. So popping the stack, or rather just returning to where we were before, what I would like to do is in the app.js, we're going to have to configure this. Logger.level equals debug. So somehow, oh golly, logger.logger.logger.logger, we make a new Winston logger with all of this nonsense here. And this is kind of static and hard coded, which I don't like. I don't like at all. Now, can I add a transport when it's going? I doubt it. I also want to get rid of this transport if what? Yeah. Let's start off with Compiler Explorer running locally. Let's just run make dev extra args equals language C++ just to restrict it. Yes. Plan to move the code to TypeScript. Ideally, yes. We've just never really had the traction or somebody who knows how to do it in a really easy and ergonomic way. Right now, it's really nice because it just works. I edit things and things work. Okay, so at the moment we're seeing everything appear in the regular logging system, which is what I was expecting. Now, if I were to comment out this line here, hopefully what we'll see is absolutely nothing. does seem to be the case. We're seeing absolutely nothing. So now, if I come over to app.js and we parse the ops, if ops.debug blah, now I'm going to do logger dot. So this is a new Winston.logger. Can I reconfigure that? Because I ideally want to like add in. Oh, whoops! All right, that's going to be upset there. Winston.add. Requiring Winston syslog will do the thing with the stuff with that. .syslog configuration for Node. Yeah, okay. This all looks great, but I really want to be able to configure this dynamically. So tempter, no remote fetch. And my IDE obviously is very angry with me. So what do I get? If I can go to Winston.logger? No. Index is updating. Sorry, everybody. Problem is, you see, so many things require this logger immediately so that they get through and it's already constructed. So I could use environment variables, but that's pretty nasty. Or I can really special case the command line parsing so that it gets it the one and only time. No, that's still not the case. I still can't require. Yeah, thinking. Okay, let's go to the Winston site itself. Oh, it's moved apparently to Flatiron. Right. Okay, we are in the right place now. Winston 3, all right, what version of Winston are we on? Let's have a look. Package.json, Winston. We're on 2. So let's go to the Winston 2 documentation. That doesn't necessarily mean we aren't going to move to the new version of Winston. And multiple transports. I want to add transports after it's started. Core, more, additional. Okay, find more transport syslog. So that obviously tells me that it's not actually deeply. Why don't we go to Papertrail and see if they have some other endpoints? Well, let's do Papertrail app, Winston. Papertrail transport for Winston. Okay. How different that is from like just using syslog, I don't know. Last commit 2017, so not exactly up to date. What would we get if we were to move to Winston version 3? No, not that. Where are we? This one. Back. Looking for Winston 2. Upgrade guide from. We're going to have a look at that for a second. So we'll look at what transports we get here. Extends transport. It's all modern. You can add a separate handle, not handle. Adding custom transports. I don't want a custom one. I just want to know what the ones it currently has. Oh wait. Logo.add. You can add them, of course. Ah. Now, do I get that in my current version of Winston, or am I going to have to upgrade? Let's go and find out. Because basically what I want to do is I want to have something like exports.log to console equals some function which is going to do logger.add. Now, come on, computer. I don't know what's going on here. It's definitely having a bad day. And then I'm going to steal. I'm having a bad day too. I'm going to steal that line there and plonk it in there. Now it doesn't seem to like the idea of logger.add right now, but we'll go with it. Do I have enough parentheses there? All right. So we now have a function called log to console, and I'm gonna just make sure we're still in a good spot. Make dev 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4. Oh, make dev extra args equals that. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. Oh golly, this has been a really productive day. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that the beta site seems to be working mostly. Configuring this login will be great. Okay, so there we are. It's running, but nothing interesting's coming out. But now, if I were to call here require, well, we're gonna have log to console as well. So log to console, comma that equals that, and then we're just going to call log to console, which is hacky, but maybe works. If this gives us back console logging, it means that we can dynamically change what's going on with the loggers, which is what we want to see. I wish Webpack was a bit faster. Transport is not a constructor. Okay. So that is interesting. Why did that work here but not down here? That I don't know. I am somewhat confused, and I keep eating this pen that I need to stop eating, as I've just caught myself eating it out the corner of my eye in the sort of like T-minus 20-second version of myself in the other monitor. New transport options. So winston.transports.console. How is that not the same bit of code? I mean, I'm not against up here just doing console equals that, because this is what we had. Excuse me, console transport. But this doesn't bode well for later on, unless maybe the logger.add is not what I think it is. Let's go and have a look. Logger.add new. See, that just looks the same, but this is obviously version 3. This is version 3 of Winston. So we'll see what happens, and I'll just upgrade. I'll upgrade. What? How hard can it be, right? Easy for me to say. So anyway, the intuition behind this is I want to be able to add a command line flag which says no, just log to this host and this doodad. See, it exports logger add. Okay. Then it is time to upgrade. What version are we on? 3.2.1. I like that. So npm -i -s Winston at 3.2.1. There's meant to be a nice way of doing this. Just upgrading, right? Is that what you're talking about, Luca? Yeah, nothing. Whatever went wrong with just randomly upgrading a library that you barely understand. All right, let's read the upgrade guide. So added 8 golly, that's a lot of changes, isn't it? Breaking changes. Top Winston.create logger. I'm probably down with that. Set levels has been removed. Git grep set levels. No. Git grep Winston. New Winston.logger. Alright, so there's been with Winston.create logger. Setting the level on the default Winston logger no longer sets to, okay, that makes sense. Transports that was removed. Transports.console log got set to stood out by default. Defaults to that. Okay, well, I mean, that doesn't sound too dreadful, right? Oh, of course, now the IDE is going to be super upset by us changing everything underneath it. New Winston.logger. So it said something about create logger. So let's go and look at the manual for that. And I'm presuming if I go back over to this, we're going to see inner some create logger. There we go. Winston.create logger, that thing. Brilliant. So this is now just Winston.create logger. Winston.create logger. And we're giving it an empty array of all the things. And wow, this IDE is super confused. I'm going to tell it to stop doing that. Static. If you don't update the index for Monaco. Monaco is the editor that we use, and it's huge and complicated. But this is why my laptop's on fire. All right, time check. It is 7 minutes to 3 o'clock here, so I have approximately 37 minutes. And I also need to hide some things that I've gotten sorted for the kids so that they won't see them until an appropriate juncture. And what we're hoping here is this just works. Mwahaha. So Webpack is running and fighting with all the CPUs, and okay, so that worked for some definition of work, because we were able to dynamically add in a logger, which is great. But obviously the format has changed. We've got something weird going on here with it being not the nice pretty things that I would like to see. So let's go and read the manual about the format is by default Winston.format.level. Okay, so how do I get my pretty? I can add or remove transports from the logger once it's been provided from the. Oh, then we will default to having. This was overdue. So let's put that back in and get rid of this. Right, and now we're back to having it normal. We're going to get it working naturally, and then later on we're going to come up with a cleverer way of doing what we need to do. So that goes away. This goes back to how it was before. Reverticus Maximus. And now we just have to work out what the parameters are to make the console logging look as nice and pretty as it used to. So console. Or console. I find that amusing in English. Those are the same words. So let's search for console. For the non-English speakers, I mean the console to mean like the console that you're typing on, and to console as into to say there, everything's going to be okay. You're probably far more aware of that than I am, but handle exceptions. What is going on? Surely there must be some documentation on that. I would hate to think. Transports. Several core transports, which is a link. And the link comes to this page, and we have console, file, blah, 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 blah. Paper trail, look! Ah, it's part of it. Oh, that's worth the price of admission. But as a provider, we can get this to work. Options, level, studer, levels, console. See, there's no colouring by the looks of it. Saddens me slightly. So why is everything coming out in JSON? I'm going to search for JSON here. Meta, use JSON instead of a prettier human-friendly string for meta information, default false. So there's clearly something else going on here. Many are now set by adding the appropriate formatter instead. Oh, see, removed that below. Removed transfer formatting. Raw colorize. Use format.colorize. Okay. Format.colorize. And what is... That's all well for you to say, but what does that even mean? So it looks like the formatter is separate from... So each logger has its own category. It said default was JSON before. It doesn't seem likely, does it? So I'm intrigued by this. Because I really want to make sure that the format is appropriately set up. Winston.loggers.add. Format and transports. Because it looks like the transport now, I can probably put a format here and that will work the way we want it to. And we can say, hey, yeah, this is great. I can use, you know, format.colorize. Brilliant. But I don't want that to apply. Well, first of all, Winston.format, maybe? Let's have a look. Window? No, Winston. Format. .colorize. Yeah, that's a thing. And colorize options, JSON, metadata, CLI. Oh, what do we get? Crashing child, starting again over here. It says this.format.transform is not a function. All right. Does that have to be done like that? Do we just pass functions to get past one? This.format.transform is not a function. Of course. Right, well, we know that this is no longer valid, right? Yeah. And we know... Aha, this is we may need that. Same signature log format. That's the paper trail thing. Right. Upgrading. Any formatting is required to change the Winston formats. Custom was created Winston call. We encourage it. Okay. Winston. These see filters and rewrite it. Rewriters format.json. Okay, migrating filters and rewriters to formats. New Winston.logger. Filters.push. Custom format. So format.combine filter secret format.json. Format. Where does format come from? Require Winston. So it is Winston.format. And then, oh, it's not an array. It's a function. I see. And then we're supposed to do like our own magical functional combination-y goodiness. Oh, are we close? I think we're close. Undefined. Of course, that's exactly what I want to see logged out. Brilliant. Time to give that Google Winston 3 log color console. Someone's raised an issue here, and hopefully they've said, no, it doesn't work that way anymore. All right, colorize, timestamp, align, printf, and then that thing. Okay, oh, I see, simple. So I'm going to do Winston.combine, Winston colorize simple. Is that how this is supposed? Whoops! Is this how? Is that how this is supposed to go? Winston.combine is not a function. Where does the combine come from? Format.combine. All right. Save. Yes, thank you, Ro. I am eating my pen again. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. That's lovely. So we've managed to go around and get back to where we started. My concern now is that we can't add a new transport, but I think we probably can. And I definitely want to be able to remove the transport. So I am going to add a new function in here. So we're going to go exports.log what are we going to call this? What is log? Baby, don't hurt me. That's Hadaway, isn't it? That's haven't heard that in a very long time. Actually, with the kids, we had a massive cheesy 90s electronic-y dance car journey the other day, and my wife and I introduced them to all the worst of things like a Hadaway and what else do we have? There were some absolutely howlers, which guilty pleasures I should really call them. But anyway, let's do log to paper trail equals, and we're going to make this a function, and we're going to use the lambda syntax for no reason other than it's there in front of me. This is obviously going to take a host and a port, and we're going to say logger.add new Winston. I love how Winston becomes Windows. Winston.transports dot paper trail. Oh, so where do we get this from? There was definitely mention of paper trail, wasn't there? Right, that's the Winston paper trail, but in the actual documentation itself, Winston paper trail is a paper trail transport. Okay, npm I minus s Winston dash paper trail. And I've done dash I again. Names aren't important. I missed the context for that, Luca. Or you mean me grabbing Hadaway out of my memory bank, or just generally? It's one of those things that just the associative array of my mind loves to pick up on funny little things like that. Okay. Yes. Winston dash paper trail. These apparently are compatible. Maybe. Okay, so we're going to get level default host port. So host port. Hostname associated with messages default require os.hostname, which I think will be fine. Program log format with the same function, custom formatting of the level or message. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. And new Winston dot transports dot what? Paper trail? How does that work? Oh, Winston paper trail. Fine. Sold. What could possibly go wrong? Again, more. And this takes some kind of configuration object. Oh yeah, Luca. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. This is a tenet I try to live by, and that is, just call it something and get on to the next bit. I can see how well we could agree on these things, but it does backfire sometimes. There's a number of important aspects of trading systems I've worked on before, whose names are things like Ian and Bob, because those were the best name I could come up with at the time, and then they stuck. So you have to be aware that that's a possibility. So host and port is what we need to do here. Host, port. Now, why are you complaining it's not assignable to the type logger.add new paper trail? See, I think your type information isn't right there. So I am going to hackily, put in log to logger, log to paper trail equals require that stuff. Yeah, that's right. That's how that happened, Luca. Exactly. Yeah. If you've, I can't remember if I've even said this. I think in my yet to be completed SWAT Global Strike Team sequence of videos, I give up some of the names of the applications I'd named previously, and they're just all named for what they do. So I mean, that's not terrible, but you know, the file server was called FileServe, and the WAD maker was called WAD maker. Names are not a good thing for me. But any name is better than no name and getting stuck. Okay, log format. That's not what we're doing. For now, I am just going to do log to paper trail. And I'm going to hard code a host and port, and I'm going to make a new one. And then just to prevent myself from getting into the spam situation I had before, I'm going to log into paper trail on the window that you can't see. And it's not because I care that much, but it just seems like decent height. So I'm going to go dashboard, and I'm going to, somewhere in here I've got some way of adding an endpoint. Event viewer, log retention account, oh golly. Event viewer. Members, okay. Log destinations. Okay, I want to create a new log destination. And this is live stream test, accept logs for unrecognized systems. Yes, that's all good. Add systems to a group. No. Accept connections via TCP and UDP. Let's just do TCP, I think. TCP, yes, using TLS. Beautiful. Okay. So now I have got a destination that I can put over here in, and you also can log to if you wanted to, and I will be killing it at the end of this, so we can I can protect myself somewhat from spam, somewhat. And where is my Windows? There we are. Okay, so now I can go back over here and make dev extra args equals that. How are we doing for time? Okay, 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Oh, and over here, I should really click over here so I can see what you're saying. Yes, the phone just knows what you're talking. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's one of those things that causes tribal knowledge. You know, that thing where you join the new company and suddenly everyone's talking about something. You're like, what are you talking about? I don't get it. And they're like, oh, we call it that here. And you're like, oh, that doesn't help. I spent my first decade of my life calling game AI code strat code, because that's what we'd called it before. All right. Apparently, paper trail is a legacy Winston trail, so consider upgrading. Okay, and now my phone is ringing here. Excuse me 1 second. Hello? Yes, speaking. I am great. Can I, hang on 1 second. I'm going to have to stop something I'm doing right now to talk to you. 1 second. Okay, everyone, I'm going to have to stop this for a second. I will come back to you, and thank you for watching so far. Sorry to stop halfway through an exciting stage here, but I've just had a call I need to take right now. Sorry. See you in a bit.